Welcome to this episode of Sunny's Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Dan Tomaszewski. Dan is the Senior Vice President of the channel at Kaseya and knows firsthand the challenges of running a successful MSP business. He has adapted that knowledge to build an award-winning channel program that has helped over 7,000 MSPs become the providers they are today. He has some amazing advice to give on building more successful and profitable businesses. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kaila. Over to you, Sunny.
Dan, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today.
I appreciate it, Sunny. I'm really excited to be here and I watch your podcast all the time. So I'm looking forward to being on it.
Yeah, I do see you and follow you on LinkedIn, and you provide a lot of thought leadership in the channel. You have done some great work to help our partners, help MSP channel partners, and we have some common partners as well. And I'm so excited about this conversation. And then, can you share with us, your journey at Kaseya and how do you help MSP partners?
Yeah, so a little bit about the journey with Kaseya. I started with ID Agent, built out their channel program. After we were acquired, they basically said, we want to roll this out across all of our products, the rapid fire tools, the Unitrends, MSP, IT Glue, and all of our different products. So now we took the channel program that was at ID Agent, we've planted it in all of our product lines. And our team gets in the trenches with them, all the partners on a daily basis to help you go to market, help you market your solution. Make sure you have that success. Not just the technical side of it, but the enablement side of it is really what me and my team do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's where a lot of partners need help, because what we see in the market is a lot of MSP owners, they are very tech centric and their background is very technical. And one area where they sometimes kind of have hard time figuring things out is the sales and marketing. And the biggest obstacle then that they face to grow their business is how to build a self-managed sales and marketing division and that engine that can fuel their growth. And that's where they need a lot of help. So what do you see in the market right now, Dan, when it comes to marketing in the new norm? A lot of small, medium-sized businesses still, their workforce is working from home, and it's just a totally different environment right now, right? So I want to talk to you about what do you see in the market when it comes to effective marketing strategies for MSPs?
No, that's a really good question. And we see this all over the board right now because, COVID really changed things. A lot of the people that were doing the in-person BNIs and, rotaries and things are now doing it virtually. People that were going out to chambers and shaking hands, they're having to pivot and do things differently as well. So what we're seeing winning right now is education. And education, I think, has been making a big play for a long time, but it really hit the accelerator during this COVID time. And what we're seeing is, leveraging chambers, leveraging your JV partnerships, leveraging just relationships that you have to be able to get out and do educational webinars of maybe it's how to use Teams, maybe it's how to use Zoom, but it's helping people that are working from home that have never had to use these applications. All of a sudden, you're building that relationship. You're looked at as that trusted advisor. I think that is really skyrocketed since the COVID started, and it's helped MSPs now to see more leads. They're seeing more activity, and they're like, "What's going on?" And it's because they're being more real. They're having good conversations with their customers and prospects. And webinars, before where people were struggling to get 5, 10 people on a webinar, they're now getting 30 to 50 people on a webinar. And when the webinar is done, if executed correctly and they have the call to actions and all that, and it's educational, we're seeing people pull anywhere between 10 and 15 leads on a webinar. So that's been one major area where we've seen significant growth is leveraging, your different associations and your aspects of places that you're a membership of and doing educational webinars and driving business back to yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And education is the future when it comes to educating your customer. There's so many different platforms and opportunities that you can take. Now, when you look at webinars, right? So the old way of doing things was going to the trade show. We used to go to a lot of trade shows, and now there are no trade shows. And we had to pivot and we had to find other ways to educate our customers. And I'm sure MSP partners, where they were going to their trade shows that are happening in their market or the vertical that they serve, those shows are not happening. And webinar is one way for them to pivot. Do you have any other advice for them other than webinars, that how can they educate their potential customers using webinar, I mean, using other strategies that are available to them in the new norm?
Yeah, I think something that's been in the industry for a long time is QBRs. A lot of people don't look at QBRs as marketing, but they are. It's a great time for you to have a good conversation, get to know your customer, like what's going on, sit down and just ask them, how's business? What are your technical challenges? What do we need to see to grow in the future? But then also leveraging that time with your customer to share, in QBRs, we tend to just give a report and we'll hand them a piece of paper and we say, here's everything we're doing for you.
Yeah.
But if you leverage a QBR from a marketing standpoint, you can go in and talk about how you've increased productivity during this work from home, how you've, lowered ticket volumes, and like how you're helping them be more profitable and to be able to deliver their services to their customers.
Mhm.
It's really important. And I think you can leverage QBRs in that way to grow your business. There's nothing better than to grow your revenue through an existing customer relationship. It's more profitable, but it still takes marketing and good conversations. I think the one aspect of it that I'm seeing MSPs do is they're taking those statistics and putting them on their website. So they're saying to their, if I'm a prospect now and I go to your website and I go, wow, 98%, customer satisfaction. We closed, this many, like 3,000 tickets this month, but we increased our customers' productivity by, 36%. That's what business owners are thinking about when they're going to sites now is who's going to help me increase productivity? Who's going to help my staff have good morale and those types of things. I think you can win in the trenches there and leveraging your QBRs on customer meetings and then using it for, that prospect that's looking.
Absolutely. And QBR, so that's a very strategic way to educate your customer, and it kind of uncovers a lot of opportunities. And back in the days, as MSP in New York City, our biggest revenue generation happened from QBRs, from all the projects that you see. And if you go back and look at why a small business customer comes to a managed service provider, is that trusted advice, right? They don't go to bigger companies because they don't get that quality trusted advice that they will get from an MSP. And QBR is a tool, and if you can calendar your QBRs for your top customers, especially, it can help you build a lot of revenue in terms of upselling and cross-selling. Do you have some best practices that you recommend to MSPs when it comes to QBRs? Is there anything that you see where successful MSPs are doing? What are they doing in the area of QBRs?
Yeah, so a couple of the things, and you brought up some really good points, is I think you need to make sure they're scheduled.
Yeah.
A lot of times we say we're going to do things and we get busy. There's tickets, there's fires. I think
Yeah.
it's really important that you set it down and put it on the calendar, and you have to have it on a regular basis.
Mhm.
That's step one. It's vital.
Yeah.
When you're in there, like you were saying, listen to the customer, ask questions, but then sit back and listen to them and just really take notes on what's good, what's maybe they're looking to pivot, where's opportunity for growth for them, because if they're going to be growing, more than likely you're growing with them. So I think you really need to take advantage of the time by listening to the customer and taking good notes. But educating too, like you were saying, and you and I both are saying, is
Yeah.
education is so important. You need to make sure that you're educating them on why. Maybe it's compliance. what's changing in the compliance, space, with some of the different laws and things. And like, you're educating, and then you're taking in their reactions. So then you can kind of figure out a game plan with them. And I think that's really important. And then I think, what I was saying earlier about, don't go in with just 5,000 stats for them. You got to go into what's important for them.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Demonstrate the value. And I think this is where MSPs tend to not do a good enough job, is you don't demonstrate the value you're bringing to them. Because everyone just thinks, oh, they're just providing me IT services. And that's where talking about productivity, talking about tickets closed, all those different things, you can demonstrate that you're more than just IT. You're helping me with my compliance. You're helping me with my security. You're helping me with a whole bunch of different things inside my company. You've now demonstrated more value to me, the business owner, than I originally thought. So this is a perfect framework for when you come in and maybe you have a cost increase or different things. They don't really bark back because they've already seen that you're demonstrating that value to them. And it makes that conversation easier for you when you're having, to put in new additional services or things, and they know that you're coming in as a trusted advisor. That's really key.
Yeah. And on top of that, new revenue that you can generate from this activity, it also leads to more retention, because the customer experience or the temp check that happens during this conversation that you do during the QBR, it also helps you understand the customer experience, or how they're feeling about the service, how they are perceiving the value. So even from the customer retention point of view, what we have seen is that it helps that customer experience team that you normally put together to make sure that what you bring in, when you bring in new logos, that they stay with you. So QBR helps on that side as well. Now, do you have any tools or resources? And I will give you an example. So Kaseya, for example, with the ID agent. One thing that our VCIO is using for our own MSP customers here in New York City, they will give them their overall security posture, right? If there are certain passwords on dark web or anything, so they make it part of their reporting structure for QBR or QBR reports. So what are the tools and resources that you have available at Kaseya where MSPs can use that to do better during their QBR's meeting?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of different things. I mean, obviously, all the different products have reports and things that are in there. But I think one of the things that we can really leverage is our powered services. We've got really good product briefs in there we're putting them in by vertical now. So if your customer is in manufacturing, grab the manufacturing security one and have a conversation in their language. So that's one area that we really help is with materials. And then the other is coaching. You can get on the phone with our channel success team and say, look, I'm getting ready to have a QBR with a health, medical office. And, I looked at it and I saw this in their security, this in their compliance, what's working right now. And really structuring out a good agenda to whereas it's beneficial for you and the customer, and working to make sure that we can kind of educate you through coaching and make sure that you're asking the right questions. So you're getting a good return on your investment of doing QBRs.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. And when you talk about personas, can you talk to me about personas? I know during our last call, you were talking a lot about personas, and yeah, so
Yeah, so I think it's interesting is that we tend to get on and talk about, I want to go out and do marketing. I want to go out and and help, I want to sell my product to everyone. But the question is, who do you want to do business with? Have you sat down and developed that persona? And a lot of people look at a persona in a lot of different ways, but there's things you can look at. Look at your existing customer base. Take your top customer and frame that customer out. What is the leadership like? What's the budgetary requirements that they give you, like, what's the staff like, the atmosphere, the ethics in the buildings, all those things. And when you take that top customer, build that into a blueprint. And then you want to find more customers like that. And when you identify that, market to the persona. And maybe it's going to be different for each persona, but that's okay, because if I want to gain their business, I need to make sure that I'm budgeting to have the conversation with the head of a manufacturing company, and it's probably going to be different than the head of a healthcare organization. You need to kind of get in those lanes and go, who are my top 50? Who are my top 100 that I want to do business with?
Mhm.
And then you need to make sure you're connected with them, or find out who's connected to them that you maybe already know that can help make that introduction to you. And I think that that's just really important, that, we all want to gain and grow our business, but we have to know the customer, because MSPs are getting more effective in saying, I don't want this type of customer as a customer. It's
Mhm.
not profitable for me. I found it doesn't work. Now we require X, Y, and Z. And I think that's really important, because then you're marketing to that, and that's what you want, versus getting potentially stuff that you're not looking for.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because in my peer groups, conversations that we have as MSP owners, one thing that started, that 2 3 years ago, lot of conversation around classifying your customers into A, B, C category. From, do they pay on time? Are they proactive in terms of their infrastructure? Do they listen to us when we give them advice? And it's not only reactive approach. How much load that they are putting on our resources? It could be per endpoint, ticket count or other things, whatever your qualifying criteria is for that ideal customer. But to your point, rather than having that pain or going through the pain to fire a lot of C customers where they are more of pain, that or the alignment is not there, and it's better to have that checkpoint in the beginning to build that persona just in the beginning of that customer journey, when that customer is a potential customer, and you just build that persona, who you want to do business with more, and who are your ideal customers. If you identify those right in the beginning of the customer journey, then you will be bringing in a lot of A customers where they are happy and you're happy, and it's a good marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the truth, though. I mean, think about it. If you know the persona and you go into a prospect, it's
Yeah,
almost like you're interviewing each other.
yeah,
You're trying to see if they're the right fit for you based on the persona you've got set up as a company, or what your personas are that work really well. And I
yeah,
think it just helps that mindset, because now you're going out and you're asking questions like you're interviewing them, and they're asking questions like they're interviewing you, and you're both responding and having a good connection. I think it's vital today that you just don't go in and ask a bunch of questions and go, oh, this is $10,000 in MRR. Is it profitable MRR? Is it, you could take it on and think, oh, I want a $10,000 deal. But if it cost you $9,000 to do it all, it's not as what it made out to be. So really important that you build that persona, know who you like doing business with, and build that value, so that way you go in and are winning profitable deals.
yes. And you also talk about like partners enablement program. And that's where probably you have built resources for your Kaseya customers. Can you talk to me a little bit about what resources are available to them as part of your partner enablement kit or program? And for example, if you do any kind of joint events with your key partners. So I want to share with especially our Kaseya partners, if there's anything available at Kaseya that they should be able to kind of explore more, and if it's the right fit for them.
Yeah, no, look, we've invested a lot over the last couple of years into our powered services program. So it's not just a vendor portal. I don't believe in the vendor relationship. I believe in a partnership.
Mhm.
Look, we only succeed as a company when the MSPs succeed. So we have to be doing what we can to give them the right materials. And when you buy a new product or solution, or even if you're an existing customer and you've had it for a while, you need to know what's changing in the industry. Maybe selling dark web monitoring has changed, and it has over the last 2 years. How
Mhm.
do you pivot? How do you have those conversations? And what are the materials to do that? So we're providing partners everything from webinar decks, product briefs, social graphics for LinkedIn and for like Facebook and all of that. We're providing email scripts for those products and services. We're providing phone scripts, infographics, educational material, training videos. But our training is not technical. It's all sales minded. So we're walking through kind of a role play. Here's objections you're going to get, and here's how you should respond back to those objections. And then also showing where is the success happening? Because when COVID hit, we were taking in March and starting to get data, and we started to learn right away, like the big struggles and the materials they were needing. And we instantly created educational materials to go out and talk about COVID phishing scams, talked about all the different things that people were seeing. And next thing you know, it was turning into business because people were like, we need to protect against this. My staff has went away. So we're really helping with all kinds of resources. And then we back it up with the channel success team. So now you need help implementing that. You've got former MSP CEOs, you've got marketing managers from MSPs, all different kinds of backgrounds helping you execute on that. And we can go on those calls with you. We can do webinars for you, alongside with you. We can make sure that you're getting, and hitting the goals that you set forth with your MSP. And I think it's just a really cool enablement program that we've built. We've got just over, I think, 7,000 MSPs in the program. And I mean, they're utilizing it. They're calling us. They're having those things. And I think that's been really cool to watch us MSPs grow during these COVID times, but doing it through collaboration and working together. And, we're helping them with the materials that we're hearing from meetings that is needed to pivot with.
Yeah, it's great to see that you are taking the same approach, like our cultures, companies, IT by Design, Kaseya. There is a lot of commonality there because we lead with that partner success, that we do believe that if a partner is successful, then we are successful. And your business philosophy is the same, and it's great to see that. And especially now, Dan, is content is king. And when everything is more of digital and content is king, and that's where small, medium-sized businesses will have a hard time building those assets, or the assets that they want to share. And if you empower them with that content, with those assets, their job is much, much easier, and they are more successful. So thank you for sharing that. And any other advice that you have for our MSP friends from that marketing lens that you have and so much experience with?
I think the big thing is just some of the basics. I mean, sometimes we overlook the basics. I mean, make sure you've got an up-to-date website, things are right, you've got actionable things for if I'm an MSP today, can someone go to my website, and if they're on a page and they see what they want, can they hit request a meeting? Can they do those things? Really important. We spend all this time now on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all of that, and then they get to the landing page, and there's nowhere for them to interact. So I think a big tip there would be just making sure your social presence, your website presence, it's up to date and people can reach you when they want you. Really key right now. And I think leverage all of the different vendors in the marketing that's there. We know that every MSP has time right now to focus on it. Some don't have marketing people. The owner's wearing 5 different hats.
Yeah,
we have that with our program and different things, is to make it so it's spending less time on having to think about creating it. Leverage what you have, but do it consistently. You can't just go post a social image one week and expect for it to convert. You really need to be on a consistent pattern, because you never know when someone's going to have that need, but you're going to pop up, they're going to remember it, and which is why it's important when they click, they can see what to do and where to go, because when that timing is right, you need to be the one that's on top of their mind.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So having that persona and then consistency to nurture that list. And when they come to your website, making sure that they can easily get to where they want to get to. So the conversion happens there as well. So those are great points. And I have a personal experience that sometimes you take the number from the website, from the contact information, or you're looking for that contact, and you call the person, and then it goes to voicemail. and then you don't get that call back. And when that happens, then all that hard work that you put in to bring that potential customer there to that stage, and that person having that type of experience in the beginning, you lose that. So really, really important to have that consistency and making sure your website and everything is completely up to date, and you have some processes in place to take that call, that email, and get to the right person and get back to them in a timely manner. So thank you so much for sharing that, Dan. Dan, thank you so much. Very, very valuable insights. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming to my podcast. And thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me, and thank you for your partnership.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Sunny. And to you, the viewer, thank you for taking the time to watch this episode. We hope you enjoyed it and hopefully gained some valuable information to take with you. If you did, please honor us with a like and a comment, and don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes. We'll see you next time.